Today's tube is full to bursting.
We can't physically cope with the amount of people that we carry.
Madam, come to me!
That's it, come on, home sweet home.
And the underground staff are flat out,
Go home!
dealing with us.
A 10-pint of lager day.
I just seen the person squatting and like...
For the 20,000 people who keep the tube running,
International rescue.
every day brings new challenges.
We are a mobile Swiss Army knife.
Excuse me, sir. Ticket inspector. Yeah, but it's not a free service on the underground, is it?
That could bring the tube to a halt.
Chaos, chaos, chaos.
Everything running smoothly has now gone the opposite route. See, just like that.
Until I get a shout, I'm going to stand here and just look pretty in front of my public. Just open the gate.
Chaotic as always.
So this year, it's all change on the world's oldest underground.
This could be the future. This could be the revolution. Join the revolution, everybody.
But for the tube's long-suffering workers, it's more than a job.
It feels like home, just like family. Sometimes we love each other, sometimes we don't.
This way out. This way.
I'm a parent, and they're my children.
Mate, mate!
This is their story.
We cope, because that's what we do. We cope.
This time on the tube, the hidden army building the underground of the future.
We're all working hard and they're all partying.
Drop it!
A suspected stabbing leaves hundreds of late-night travellers stranded.
I can't talk to everybody all at the same time. There are no more eastbound trains.
And Christmas spirit grips both staff and passengers.
Come on, baby!
December, and the underground is preparing itself for the busiest weeks of its year. Workers, shoppers and partygoers are all in town, and it seems everyone wants to use the tube.
Please stand clear, this train is ready to depart.
London's a lovely city. It's mad. Everybody's rushing. People don't have much time.
As Christmas approaches, the network expects to carry millions of people every working day. Against the odds, and often with lively customers.
Keep moving! Keep moving!
It's the job of the underground staff to keep the whole of London on the go.
Victoria Line, platform 6. Why don't you go through the wide gate, not with the children? There's a wide one there.
Since its birth, more than 150 years ago, the tube has been a London success story. When it opened, it could only carry 38,000 people a day. Now, that number has soared to nearly 5 million.
London is not the same without London Underground. It is part of London. It's a good system, but it's very old, of course. Hang on a minute first, please, guys.
For now, staff are coping as best they can.
Do apologise, ladies and gents. We'll be on the move in a minute.
But there's only one long-term answer to the overcrowding: to build more underground. Tube bosses are already preparing the network for a bigger, busier future.
Goes roughly 60 metres into the ground. 60? 60.
What, so these walls here?
It's extremely deep.
Those are 60 metres?
Battersea Power Station is a relic of London's past. But now, this is the future. Soon, this building site will be shops, offices, and million-pound apartments. And now the tube is starting work on a brand new underground station here, Battersea Park.
It's an extension of the underground. So we haven't really had extensions to the underground since the Jubilee line in the 90s. I think the success of London has shown that if you invest in transport, you get, you know, a lot of other things flowing. Morning. Morning.
This new tube station is such an important project that London Mayor Boris Johnson has decided to pay a visit. Today, the excavation begins in earnest.
to get the, what we call muck, i.e. the soil that we excavate, which is mostly London clay. We've got a sort of conveyor system as a production line, which then takes it all the way up there into barges, which then take them away using the River Thames, and of course stops us having to use lots of lorries on the roads.
They're going to have hotels, offices, flats, restaurants, sporting facilities, heaven knows what. And that is only possible because we're putting in the tube line.
This new station is only part of an ambitious plan to expand the tube. But in the meantime, the network has to get through its busiest time of year. It's Saturday, the 5th of December. Millions of shoppers have hit London's West End.
Victoria northbound, platform 6 to Euston.
With nearly 100 million passengers every year, Oxford Circus is the most used station on the network. Any incident here will cause chaos.
All I can say is if they can run that, they will run it. It's got to run. The problem is it's down to what the police are doing.
London, like all major cities, faces the ever-present threat of terrorism. News has come through of a serious incident further down the Central Line.
Well, basically, we've got a line suspension on the Central Line, and this is because of an incident involving the police at Leighton. At the moment, we've been given no information in regards to this. All we know is that it involves the police and this line's been suspended.
Drop it!
In Leytonstone, a customer films after a violent incident. The police, fearing this incident could be terrorist-related, take no chances.
You're no Muslim, bruv! You ain't no Muslim!
Staff at Oxford Circus still don't have all the details of what's causing the delays.
This is what makes it difficult. You've got people coming down the stairs blocking the view.
Since the terrorist attacks of 7/7 in central London, security is a major concern.
Keep to left-hand side, please. Please keep left. Please keep moving.
Today, it's Jerry's job to make sure everywhere is safe.
The training manual says look out for anything unusual, which is certainly true. You know, if I come across something and there are wires sticking out of it and you look inside and there's a big red light that goes on and it says debt, then yeah, that's unusual. But even, you know, if I was a terrorist, I wouldn't go and just leave it like that. I would put it in an ordinary-looking rucksack. If somebody's sitting downstairs, if we're going around on the platform, and there's a bag next to their seat, you know, I always ask, is that bag yours? Yeah, okay, that's not a problem. It's when somebody says, oh, bag, what bag? No, nothing to do with me.
Customers from Liverpool Street, please use the northbound Victoria line, change at King's Cross for the Circle line.
The police have contained the incident, and there's no danger to any passengers here at Oxford Circus. But for now, the eastbound Central Line is closed.
Where are you going to?
Where are you going?
Yeah.
To Redbridge.
What, on the Central Line?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Why not?
Part suspended, Liverpool Street through to Woodford and Liverpool Street to Newbury Park. There's an incident at Leighton involving the police.
Oh.
If the Central Line doesn't come back into service, passengers and staff are in for a stressful night.
The problem we've got is we don't know the full extent of what's happened down at Leighton with the police. It could mean that the service could be out for the rest of the night.
Take your foot out of the door, otherwise I'll get you arrested, mate.
Coming up, chaos reigns on the Central Line on the busiest night of the year.
I've lost my voice shouting to them, no Central Line.
And beneath the streets, the tunnelling team prepare for breakthrough.
Keep over to your left-hand side, please. Please keep left, please keep moving down.
It's Saturday night of the busiest week of the year for the Tube. Staff at Oxford Circus are trying to cope with the crowds and the unexpected. An incident earlier in the evening at Leytonstone Station threatens to disrupt the whole of the eastbound Central Line.
What's causing the delays, do you know?
The first report was it's an incident at Leighton involving the police.
Oh, right.
The latest is that there's been a stabbing.
Oh, fair enough.
So,
Word comes in from control headquarters, and it's not good news.
There's no more eastbound services tonight from this station. Please use alternative routes. There's no more eastbound services. That's why I've always done.
To stop late-night customers looking for trains that are no longer running, station supervisor TJ needs to quickly close off routes to the platforms.
It's just no eastbound.
And for customers already on the station, he needs to get them onto other trains as quickly as possible.
There's no more eastbound. So you're all talking at once. I'm going to say this so I can't talk to everybody all at the same time. There are no more eastbound trains. There is one westbound train left now, which is going to Bond Street. If you need to go east, I suggest you take the Jubilee line from there, which will link you up with Stratford, and you can use local services to get you back to East London. This will be your last westbound service this evening.
But not all passengers make the last train in time.
Take your foot out of the door, otherwise I'll get you arrested, mate. There's a lot of aggravation when you have that one line go down unexpectedly. It just makes it a little bit harder for people to get to where they need to go to. And as you see, not everyone's greatly pleased about it. There you go.
they're just going down. They're not listening to the messages. I've been shouting out. I've lost my voice shouting to them, no central lights, and they're still going down. And then they're coming back. Can I have a refund? Can I have a refund?
Information for customers on the station. The last train this evening will be a northbound Victoria line. All other services have departed. If you don't require this train, please make your way outside the station and use night buses or local transport and taxis to continue your journey. Still got people wandering around the stations. You have to leave.
Once again, customers platform.
Have a good night, mate.
They don't listen.
Why don't they listen?
I think sometimes they don't want to. Hope we've got it wrong, but we haven't. And they're going to have to bus it, cab it, or walk it.
Last year, London's population hit a record high of 8 million people. To keep the city moving, Crossrail, a gigantic new rail link, is being built from east to west across the capital. Bond Street Tube Station will become one of its new hubs, where Crossrail will connect to the underground. Lead engineer Anita has overseen the building of 2 miles of new tube passenger tunnels under the station. Soon, these new tunnels will have to join up with Crossrails.
We'll start the move today. Yeah. 3 shifts, sir. And then we start these 2 walls.
And this wall,
And this
once the 5
back
ton
south wall. Yeah,
winch
once
is
we get
down,
the winch out of the way.
and the spine wall.
That's it.
It's a very complex project, so just been really exciting. It's good to come to work, look at all the drawings, figure out what we're doing on the day.
But building new tunnels while the West End keeps shopping and partying above isn't easy.
On the street, you always see it's a blue building, but when you go underground, there's all this space and all these materials arriving on site every day, materials leaving site every day. So I think one of the main challenges is actually getting materials in, working in a small space with so many people on the ground.
With such small spaces, some of the tunnels are dug out by hand. Much of the capital sits on heavy London clay. This rock last saw daylight some 50 million years ago, when this was a prehistoric seabed.
London clay is quite a good materials for tunneling. It's literally like biting into butter. It's not too hard, it's not too soft, it's quite stable, and you can control the size of the tunnel, unlike sand, which will be a lot more difficult.
One of the passenger tunnels is nearing completion.
Thank you. Thanks.
In the next 24 hours, Anita and her team must break through this concrete and join up with Crossrail. But no matter how many new tunnels and stations are built, demand keeps growing for the Tube's services at all hours of the day and night. It's 6 a.m. on Sunday morning at Vauxhall Station, South London. Exhausted clubbers who've been out all night are waiting for it to open.
The guy sitting there seemed to have been sleeping for a while now. Probably tired from clubbing last night.
We're all fucking wasters, right? And we're here at like 5 a.m. because we can't afford to get cabs.
6:45.
It's Thelma's job to make sure all these late-night clubbers, tired and exhausted, get home without any accidents on her station. But first, she's got to do the hourly security check.
I don't want to open the gates to go out to do the checks because then it becomes unsecured and you have people that might easily go downstairs. So that's why I'm using that door.
From experience, she knows this can be a journey into the unknown.
Hello?
The health and well-being of everyone is Thelma's responsibility. Vauxhall on a Sunday morning needs a unique set of skills.
Hello? You okay? You are a health worker, you are a psychologist, you are a social worker, you are a mother, you are everything.
It's time for the station to open and partygoers to get home. With few staff on the station, some passengers are keen to enjoy free travel.
I thought we had a decent crowd this morning. And look at them. They don't want to buy tickets.
To keep everyone safe, Thelma doesn't want the crowd on the platform any longer than necessary.
We have 2 defective trains on the platform at Brixton.
Basically, the northbound train is now being delayed. So they're all going to be down on the platform, which is something that I don't really like. People have been partying all night. You don't know what their action would be. So they're not regular people that would behave themselves.
Eventually, the service is resumed, and Thelma can clear her platforms. It's Saturday, the 12th of December, and in the West End, the shoppers are out in force. Somehow, the Tube manages to carry them all.
Anybody paying by card? Coin? Card? Coin?
Stan is a legend at Oxford Circus. Well known to staff and passengers alike, he's got more than 30 years underground under his belt.
Welcome. I came over from Northern Ireland in 1980 and I got a job working on the buses as a conductor. Then one day my manager said, there's vacancies going on the underground. Done a little exam and lo and behold, I got on the underground. So I came onto the underground, it was about 1984 onto London Underground. Are you okay? Would you stand back? No.
In the run-up to Christmas, London welcomes visitors from all over the world. Stan has invented a language all of his own to help keep the busiest station in London flowing.
I do sign language, I do that. That's a happy sign. Number 5. I do the platforms, west, east, north, south. It all helps. Just gets them away faster. Victoria line, platform 5 to Victoria. Change at Victoria. If they're paying by a card or coin. That's my favourite one. Do get those funny looks though. Card, coin. Should keep them separate. I know, but be careful. You could lose money. You could lose your money as well.
Okay, we're gonna go down this way. Hi guys, you all right?
Passenger numbers may be higher than ever, but the Tube is trying to prepare for an even busier future. Brand new trains that can squeeze more passengers on board are now being rolled out across the network. driver Ruth is getting to grips with the new technology.
It is a really nice train, actually. I mean, people are eager to drive these ones because it's a much smoother drive, much nicer. And the seats, and I mean, look at the cab. It's plush. It's like Bentley. You know, so it's much nicer to drive.
So we're running next to a District Line train here. They've got these nice super-duper new trains, you know, which you can be quite envious of, because their driving cab is very luxurious. It's like you sit down in the driving seat, you expect to see a cat in your lap, you know, pipe and slippers, and, you know, it's great, you know, it's fantastic. You can just way. And here, everything's a little bit cramped, and our trains will get replaced, you know, in the next 10 years. Maybe we'll have the super-duper cab. Maybe we won't have a cab at all. Who knows?
Yeah, we should be going down onto 37 West.
But getting these expensive new trains from the factory onto the tube is a work of art in itself.
It's come down from Derby. It left about 11 o'clock yesterday morning and arrived here just after midnight last night.
As part of the £10 billion upgrade, all 192 trains on the District, Circle and Hammersmith and City lines are being replaced at the rate of one a week.
Well, the main innovation is the through gangway, so you can walk from one end of the train to the other. These are much more technically advanced. The braking systems are much more efficient. Yeah, you're all clear.
Coming towards it.
I think it's in excess of £1 million per car, so £7 million worth of kit.
Tube trains take their power from an electrified rail in the tracks. But most mainline trains run on a different system.
You're all clear, Tim. Keep it coming.
So to travel the 116 miles from the factory to the depot, these 200-ton giants have had their electric innards removed in order to be shunted all the way. It's a delicate operation, and the last 100 yards into the depot are the trickiest.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, stop there.
The train needs to be pressed into service as soon as possible. With 24 electrical pickups to be refitted so it can run on the tube's tracks, the engineers get going immediately.
That is what picks up the juice, as they call it, and obviously without these, the train wouldn't work.
The open carriage design means more people than ever can fit onto these trains. Built to carry 865 passengers, they could end up taking many more than that.
I read somewhere today that 4.8 million people travelled on the tube one day this week. 4.8 million. I mean, that's a lot of people. That's just unbelievable, really.
Evening. Are you all glad to be here on Saturday night?
It's 9 p.m. on Saturday night, but the tube's tunnel team never sleeps.
Lay down extra timbers to support the brock and start breaking the head wall. Have a good shift tonight. PP on all the time, yeah?
Tonight, 100 feet below Bond Street, they're getting ready to break through the wall, separating them from Crossrail. Lead engineer Anita has arrived to make sure her team get this crucial job right.
What we're going to do is have the machine here, break away the concrete until we create a connection between our passageway and the Crossrail passageway. Then in future, this will be a passenger sort of link for Bond Street, London Underground station and the Crossrail New station.
The Tube and Crossrail teams have both been digging their own tunnels, which should join up here. In theory, the new Crossrail tunnel lies behind this concrete wall. But before the Tube team can bring in heavy machinery to tear down the concrete, they must test the wall's thickness and weight.
So if the tunnel comes on the wrong place, it's your fault?
Yes, partially.
In the next hour, the team will find out if their calculations are correct. Coming up, roller skating Santas descend on Hyde Park.
Not just sort of your odd, like, sort of 20, 30 people that have had a drink. Everyone here has had a drink.
And the £7 million new trains are put through the rattle test.
Just listening out for rattling panels. In fact, I can hear one now.
It's 9:30 on Saturday night. The moment of truth for Anita and her tunnelling team. This concrete wall weighs several tons. For safety, the team are using a powerful remote demolition machine called a Brock to make the breakthrough, just 100 feet below Bond Street.
Lots of people up there haven't got a clue what's going on down here. We're all working hard and they're all partying.
After years of planning, it's all come down to this. For Crossrail and the Tube, this is just one of 26 miles of new tunnels. As the Brock goes about its job, all the team of engineers can do now is watch and hope their calculations are correct. As hoped, the two tunnels line up perfectly.
Well, we've broken through now, quicker than I thought. I said half hour, it was 20 minutes.
I think everyone on the project are really proud of what they've achieved so far. I'm hoping that in a few years' time I'll walk through these tunnels and go, oh, I, done this bit of work, or I can tell my friends and my family.
But on a Saturday night before Christmas, work is the last thing on most passengers' minds. 2 miles from Bond Street is the normally sleepy station of Hyde Park Corner.
Exit's on your left.
But every year for 2 weeks before Christmas, the station is transformed as thousands visit a festival nearby known as Winter Wonderland.
Guys, you want to start filtering round?
Come this way.
Customer service assistant Mia has worked on the tube for only 6 months. This is her first Christmas underground.
The difficulties of dealing with this, especially Winter Wonderland at this station, it's a really small station. So the ticket hall can't actually kind of handle the amount of flow that are coming through. So that's why we've got to put the one way in so that we can tolerate and direct people, otherwise it's just going to be a massive palaver.
Extra staff have been brought in to deal with the crowds. Many only too happy to join in with the Christmas fun.
Some are shy and some are not so shy. Some just come and do the job, but it's all good.
I'm ready to jump into the madness that is my swimming pool. Woo! Come on, baby!
Whether you're red, white, black, we need to love. We need to love. Merry Christmas, everyone.
For Winter Wonderland, it is exit number 1. That's exit number 1 for Winter Wonderland.
With the festivities comes drinking. Lots of drinking. Staff are bracing themselves for a busy and noisy night.
Please be careful. No, guys, please, off the shoulders.
My baby on ball badge. I wear this, I'm not pregnant, I just wear it in the hope that people leave me alone a little bit, because I get a lot of harassment that I do not want at all. For example, I was at a Chelsea match, a group of the fans actually picked me up, was kissing my face, and one of them actually licked my face.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be.
It's still early in the evening, and it's all good-natured. In a few hours' time, these crowds will return.
We take it as it comes, as long as the customer flow stays consistent, then we're going to be able to cope with it, But if we get what we call a flash mob, then we may have to implement crowd control, much depending.
And it's not just platform staff who see some surprising sights. Late-night London is seemingly fueled by alcohol.
This train is now ready to depart, so mind the closing doors, mind the closing doors.
And tube drivers see the consequences every night.
I've seen a girl with no top on. She had no bra on, her boobs all out for everybody to see. I was just like, just shocked. And she just looked at me and smiled. At Hammersmith, there was a couple, well, let's just say, being quite friendly with one another on the platform. There was one case where I had to wake this man up. When I actually saw him, he was wearing fluorescent pink shorts and his bits were hanging out of his shorts. I wake him up. I said, sir, you know, the train terminates here. You know, you need to come off the train. And your bits are hanging out. And he said to me, looked at me, and he said, I know, I'm a sexy boy. That's what he said, and I just laughed. I mean, what can you say to that?
At Hyde Park Corner, Winter Wonderland is now in full swing. Staff know at busy times a crowd can very quickly turn into a dangerous crush, and emergency procedures need to be put in place.
This is exit only, only people coming up. All the exits, entrances, everything like that are closed for exit only.
No one's allowed to come in. They're being held by London Underground staff and directed to either Green Park, Victoria, Marble Arch and Bond Street.
Hello, sir. Excuse me. It's exit only. Where do you need to go?
Piccadilly Circus.
If you head that way...
Hello, Supervisor Park.
It seems that an elderly passenger who can't make it to another station has got through and wants to use the stairs.
Yeah, it's okay, it's okay. He's about 105, that one. He's about 100. Can't tell him to go to Green Park or go to Green Park or Marble Arch. But yeah, I've got a heart.
The man on the stairs is, in fact, 96-year-old Gordon Meller, a war hero who evaded capture by the Germans after being shot down. But Tony's worried the 120 stairs may be a battle too far.
The thing is, I can't tell him to go back upstairs because it'd be harder for him to go back upstairs there, so I could put an escalator down for him. It'd be easier for him to come down there.
Kingsley has been dispatched to ensure Gordon makes it down safely.
Your initial thought is, why did they let them in, supposing there's an accident? But when you see him quarter of the way down, half the way down, 3/4 of the way down, and he's within the last 20 steps, it's almost like Chariots of Fire. And it's like, you look at him and it's like you're clapping him with each step that he's making. It's like you're winning him.
The staff here were really helpful. They ensured that the trip down the stairs was safe. It was slow, but it was safe. And it was amazing that everybody cheered once we got to the bottom and he'd actually made it.
You live for days like that. To see somebody that old do that number of steps, and somebody my age wouldn't be able to do it. So it's, you know, gives you a little bit of encouragement, so to speak.
With Gordon safely away, the crowds are returning.
We're back in service now, two-way, but our job's not finished yet. We've still got another hour and a half where it can get very hectic and things can still go wrong.
Yeah, could we get a cleaner onto platform number 1, please? As we've had a customer that's been sick. Over. You all right? A bit too drunk? No, it's all right. We've had it all day. We get it all day. It's fine. The customer had a bit too much to drink and he's thrown up on himself on the floor. It happens pretty much every day. Not just alcohol as well. Like yesterday I had an incident where a lady, she hadn't eaten anything all day. So then she'd got on the tube, really hot, get off the tube, sick on herself. Happens all the time. So used to it. Oh my God, I can smell it. Please make use of all available space.
Mia's been working for the last 6 hours, and she knows the hardest bit is still to come.
That bloke there, and he's like, do you know what? I'd suck your tits off. I was like, you're literally vile, get on that train and go to Holborn.
Piccadilly Circus. It's where we want to be. Do you know why? Because we just want to get fucked up.
It's not just sort of your odd, like, sort of 20, 30 people that have had a drink. Everyone here has had a drink, so everyone's high pass.
Success for Mia tonight will be getting thousands of drunken revellers home uninjured.
You need to walk around that way. You're not going to board this train anyway, so you need to keep moving around, yeah? We've got one-way systems in place for health and safety. And when everyone piles in, that's when accidents happen. There's people piling under. So all it takes is for one person to fall. Don't hold the doors. Get off the train then. Off the train. You're forever dealing with people that test your patients, but you can't get angry, you can't have a go at them. Like, don't get wrong, sometimes I end up sort of snapping, but you've got to keep it professional. So it's kind of snapping in a professional way. Guys, you might want to keep moving along because the likelihood of being able to board at these doors is low, so it's pretty much empty at the back.
Another busy Christmas evening draws to a close. Tomorrow, Mia and Hyde Park Corner will do it all over again.
I'm alright, it's just been really tough. I'm ready for bed. Like, it's only like 11 o'clock and already I'm shattered. I'm covered in dirt.
In West London, the Circle Line's newest train is making its final test run. All the major checks have been completed, but there is one vital test still to be carried out.
This is a rattle run, and we're looking for anything that's making a noise that shouldn't be making a noise, which really basically will annoy the passengers. We're just listening out for rattling panels. In fact, I can hear one now. We generally find that one of these fasteners is not connected properly, or the hinge is not seating right. We need to pack it with some foam. It's not so much the rails, it's the crossings, the points that make it rattle a lot. The drivers will just check the CCTV, the interior displays, exterior displays, PA system, radios. The train goes into Neasden Depot for the weekend, cleaning, floor polishing. They put an anti-vandal film on the windows. By Monday morning, this train should be offered for service, for passenger service.
It may have cost £7 million, but the Tube is expecting this train will carry passengers until at least 2040.
This train's going to be in service for a good 25 years, so we'd like to at least start off on a good foot.
For Stan at Oxford Circus, it's his 35th year working over the festive period.
I got to go back to work.
When Stan started, the Underground was a very different place.
Underground's changed so much. When I first started the job, I was stuck inside a little wooden office in the middle of the floor. So tiny you could hardly move. And it was all paper tickets then. But now this all came along, all the technology and stuff.
One of the biggest changes for the Underground was the introduction of electronic payment cards. Last year, the final manned ticket office was replaced by machines.
My job is disappearing. This was a lovely ticket office. I used to sit here on my computer, but it's gone now. So that job's gone. So I'm going to take my severance and go. The red line over there, platform number 2.
In a few weeks' time, Stan will say goodbye to the Underground. And one of the Tube's most recognisable catchphrases will be heard no more.
Anybody pay by card? Coin? Coin? Anybody doing coin? Card or coin?
Coming up, the Big Dig at Bond Street receives the Royal Seal of Approval.
Mind the doors.
And after 3 decades, Stan steps down.
London Underground will always have a place in my heart.
With London's population expected to grow by over 1 million in the next 6 years alone, the demands on the Tube will be greater than ever. But in 2 years' time, Crossrail will be finished to take some of the strain. Today, a VIP visitor is here to give the line a new name, even though work isn't quite completed yet.
I hope very much now that you'll be able to unveil the roundel. Pull that toggle there.
In 2018, up to 500,000 passengers a day will travel on trains along these tunnels. And many of them will then transfer onto the new underground tunnels nearby. Anita and her team of engineers are still working around the clock to ensure that new tunnels here at Bond Street Station will be ready in time.
There's guys working down there at the moment, finishing off with the brickwork, putting new lights in, and then soon this section will be completed. Right now we're in between the Jubilee lines, so if you just go down the stairs, there'll be new exits and access onto the Jubilee lines.
Gone are the diggers and heavy machinery. What was a building site is now beginning to resemble passageways and corridors that will carry passengers.
I don't think you really realise until you stop and have a look around you. You realise, wow, we have done so much work since we started on the project. When I started on this project, there was no tunnels. There was nothing. Just over 2 years now, we have all these tunnels. It's amazing. It's such a great achievement. I think everyone should be really proud.
On the District Line, Ruth is now driving the new trains and is looking forward to the future.
Where do I see the trains in 10 years' time? I see us still driving trains, but maybe in a different capacity. Possibly we won't be physically driving them, but we'll still be on the front of a train. It'll be really weird to see a train coming and there's nobody on it at all. I think that would freak quite a few people out. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't use the tube if it was going that way. I could get stressed about it, I could get worried about it, but what's going to be is going to be, you know? I'm hoping I'm still going to be here in 10 years' time.
Everybody all aboard. Mind those doors. Mind the doors. Mind the doors.
One person who won't be on the Underground is Stan. Today, Oxford Circus is preparing to say goodbye to one of its longest-serving members of staff.
Finally, it's time to leave London Underground. 35 years with this company. They've been very good to us, in nice uniform, they've looked after us, good holidays, good holiday pay, and I suppose that's why I stayed. I suppose looking back on it as well, my career with the Underground, I'm sorry really, there's one regret that I'm sorry I didn't move up the chain and get promotion. I could have done, but as I said, I was a stick in the mud then, and I sort of was comfortable in the ticket office, too comfortable. But I look back, and I do think I wish I had went for some more promotion. That's one thing I'm sorry I didn't do. When I do go, I will keep an ear in and an eye in, and I'll listen and look to the London news and what's happening in the Underground, if they're going on strike, and then I'll be looking back and thinking to myself, well, I could have been off this Wednesday. I'm not sad about leaving. I've done my little bit now, and so that's the way. It's a different chapter in your life. Don't know what I'm going to do at the minute. Maybe travel. Let's hope everything's works out rosy for me. I hope so anyway.
Channel 5's new nightly entertainment show kicks off in 60 minutes with Keith Lemon and Alicia Dixon staying up late with Rylan. Some light relief after the dark underbelly of new season Gotham, Wrath of the Villains. Gordon's on a mission, and it continues after the break.